My Secret Smile by Mr. Grumpy. Hello, I'm Mr. Grumpy. That's right, grumpy, and proud of it. You won't catch me being cheerful. Oh, no. I like being bad-tempered, and I like to be left alone to be grumpy. But there is one thing that I detest. Do you know what that is? No? Then I'll tell you, and bad luck if you don't want to know. The one thing that I truly hate is people trying to cheer me up. There I'll be, pulling up flowers. I don't like flowers. When some horrible, cheerful busybody will come along and try to cheer me up. You can always tell the type. They whistle. I hate cheerful, whistling types. Mr. Funny is one of the worst. He's always telling jokes and pulling ridiculous faces that aren't the least bit funny. Well, the other day I had a bit of fun of my own. It was while I was out on a walk. It was raining, the perfect sort of weather for feeling grumpy in, when who should I meet but Mr. Happy? Now, there's another person who really gets on my nerves. Smile, 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 all day long. Yuck. Hello, Mr. Grumpy, how are you? He said in the most abominably happy voice. All the worse for seeing you, I replied, which was true. I see that you are your usual grumpy self, he said. That's right, I said, and I was about to leave, but then Mr. Funny came along. From bad to worse. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hello, Mr. Grumpy, said Mr. Funny. Did you hear the one about... And he began to tell us a very long, very unfunny joke, which I won't bore you with. Well, I didn't think it was funny, but you should have seen Mr. Happy. He laughed so hard that he was rolling around on the wet grass. I ask you, is that any way for a grown person to behave? Then, before I could escape, Mr. Tickle arrived. And of course, he tickled me. And as hard as I tried, I couldn't help but laugh. It's the only time I do laugh. Well, nearly the only time, but I'll tell you about that later. Mr. Funny and Mr. Happy thought this was hilarious. Nice to see you so happy, chuckled Mr. Happy. What is something I said? Snickered Mr. Funny. I left in disgust. To avoid meeting anybody else, I went for a long walk through Whistling Wood. In the middle of the wood, I came upon a well. There was a sign over at the top of it. It read, Wishing Well. And that gave me an idea. I wish, I said, that anybody who tries to cheer me up won't be able to. On the way home, I met Mr. Funny again. He chuckled, Mr. Funny. I just thought of the funniest joke ever. Why did the chicken cross the road? I don't know, I said. Why did the chicken cross the road? Because he was pink, said Mr. Funny, and he was about to laugh when he realized what he'd said. Because he was made of jelly? Hang on, that's not right. The magic had worked. The harder Mr. Funny tried to tell his joke, the more ridiculous it became. I smiled to myself. What fun! I left Mr. Funny looking very puzzled. Then, for the second time that day, I met Mr. Happy. Hello, Mr. Grumpy, he said. Still looking grumpy? Come on, give me a smile. Look, I'll show you how. But when Mr. Happy tried to smile, he burst into tears. The magic had worked for a second time. I smiled to myself. I set off again, leaving Mr. Happy looking very confused. Then, for the second time that day, I met Mr. Tickle. He reached out one of those long, long arms of his, but you'll never guess what happened next. He tickled himself. The magic had worked for the third time, and for the third time that day I smiled to myself. I left Mr. Tickle looking very worried. and went home. That evening I sat down in my armchair and thought about what had happened that day. And you know what I did next? I laughed. Me, Mr. Grumpy, laughed. Not a very big laugh, but a laugh, all the same. But you are not to tell anybody. It's our secret.